Hey there, everybody, it's Wayne D. Welcome to the website, it's WayneD.com. And we're looking at one of the bright young stars just coming out on tour. Almost got his card in not very many tournaments. Had a couple of great finishes. This is Victor Hovland coming out of Oklahoma State. I've been studying this swing for a few days, trying to figure out what I was going to say about it, and just in general, I just think it's pretty awesome. I love this. I love this swing. So there's a bunch of cool stuff we can talk about here that's unconventional. I'm starting to like these unconventional swings. They're a little more interesting to talk about than Adam Scott, who's got a great golf swing, but you'd have to describe it as very conventional, follows the rules. This one is, I hesitate to use the word homemade, but I would call it a little more not paying attention to the rules and regulations of swinging on plane and following the instructions of conventional teaching. So let's watch. First of all, the posture is decidedly relaxed. So this making no effort to straighten up, create angles. He's just relaxed. The arms are hanging. You can see quite a bit of bend in the upper back, up into the neck. And when he starts back, so you'd probably figure out his balance point here is more center, almost toward the heels, but not quite. So as we go back, you're going to watch. This is totally different trigger than most because he's going to actually move forward toward the ball. So the initial movement of the grip is slightly out. You can see him just move that tiny bit forward of the forehead line there. And now he's going to do something that's also totally unconventional. He's going to take the right wrist and extend it right here. He's going to keep the face looking down, and he's going to allow that to add flexion to the left wrist in here. It's going to bend that left wrist. And you can see him, he's still moving forward into more posture, but at the same time, if you watch, his right cheek is staying back on the box line. So he's getting depth in his right leg. He's keeping his left side of his pelvis inward. So he's getting good balance in the legs. That's going to be really important. So if we look at the progression, so as opposed to other guys that are getting that left wrist into flexion on the all the way into, right into the backswing, his left arm is across him a little more. If you look at DJ and Koepka, they're going to be a little bit more out in front, but he's going to take this thing pretty straight up in front of him here. So we're going to see a fairly vertical left arm, and you're starting to see more of that with that left wrist already in a bowed position here. That left arm, the guys that have that left wrist like that have a pretty vertical left arm. So as that right wrist remains super extended here, that keeps the upper right arm more externally rotated. So the right arm is staying well in front. So you would call this a nice deep pivot position with the arms well up and in front. And now he's going to wheel the club from where it would be across the line. So you can see at P3 here, it's going to be a little vertical of plane. Plane would be here, and you can see the shaft here. So in a bigger swing, you're going to see this cross the line. This is going to stop a little short. And in transition, watch the move. So this is a hands out move with the right arm driving forward and down, more forward than some. If you look at DJ, he's going to take that grip, he'll be a little higher with his arm, and he's going to drop the grip backwards a little bit because he's got more bend right here as he comes down. You know, so Hovland's got kind of an average amount of tilt. Still pretty tilted though, still great posture. And now you can see that the right arm is not really unbending to get the hands down close to the original shaft plane. But as there's too many lines here, let's draw it again. Play the swing one more time. So we're going to notice that the overall hip movement is going to be classic. We're going to stay deep. Look at that. So here's the magic move really. When the hands are moving out, the waist is moving back. So he's going to add depth in transition. So you'd say the club will start changing direction here, and as he's doing that, he's getting the hip deeper so that he is well back in that box now. And the whole time his head is going to move, and this is again probably setup oriented, where he's balanced a little back and he's going to work into the front, but his upper body is going to add posture and his lower body is going to deepen. So you can see it when he's coming down, he's going to approach from up here, and that's going to come down and left. So Hovland is a left to right player for the most part. But again, that key move is going to be the hands coming out. And he digs the pivot, he digs the waist inward as he moves forward and twists. See the real quiet feet with the short iron. And in the follow through, I always love that, the ability to have enough upper left side rotation where that left forearm can release. So there's no hold on in that. So even though he's mostly a fade kind of guy, he's got that full release, so he's going to get a lot of distance because he's not really holding on. So we've got a face on of sorts here. It's not the best camera angle, and of course they didn't bother starting it at the beginning. I don't know what these guys are thinking when they're doing these shots, but they're kind of missing out on some interesting stuff. So we don't really see the trigger and the start, but look at there's the reach and stretch. Right leg is nicely braced. And now with the driver, I think what's happening here is we're getting more centered in the transition. So at P5, we're not going to have 70% on the left leg. We're going to have a little less. So there's what it looks like when that left arm is real bent. So here's a driver swing from behind. Again, that slight lift, handle out just a little, and then the right wrist bends under. So there's the cross when it gets to a bit bigger turn. Watch the crunch. That's a big old crunch. See that right in there? And when that club wheels around, I would call that the helicopter movement here, with the hands moving from here well out. So that's taking that right arm, right shoulder externally rotating up here, Right arm adducting down and forward with a lot of forward to that. So he's going to have that J.B. Holmes look coming in with plenty of, look at all that room for his arm. Left wrist is already bent. Remember, he doesn't really have to add flexion to the left wrist. It's already there. But as he's hitting the ball, you can see it. He doesn't continue to bend that wrist bone forward. That looks a tiny bit more neutral than you might expect. And I think that's where he can get some nice elevation on the ball while using a drive hold release. So we've got enough tilt back. And again, you can see that the right arm is so forward. And interestingly, the left arm is pretty bent here. So a lot of things that you're not going to see in a more conventional move. But he really knows where this thing is going. So he's flying the thing 290. And look how deep that hip movement is into the ball. Right leg's going to drive back up this way. You see that a lot. Very important. You get those both legs driving inward and left. And again, look at that. That's free and full release. And you watch that head movement. That whole thing is going to move forward and down. So very cool stuff. We'll see if he can maintain his stroke average is under 70 so far. And he's really playing well.